I'd like you to think of a teacher who helped you through a difficult time. I bet that teacher not only cared for you and had high expectations for you, but that teacher really tried to understand the puzzle that is you, cherish your strengths, thought about what motivated you, tried to pinpoint your struggles, and responded to those struggles in a timely way. Let's now turn our attention to Ilana, 12-year-old, not a real student, but a composite for me of the number of students who fall through the cracks across the country in schools each and every day. As part of an escalating trend, Ilana has just gotten suspended for shredding her textbook and for swearing at her teacher. Undeterred, the teacher is determined to figure out the source of this behavior. What's going on here? And she starts to dig. She goes through old attendance records. She goes through reading folders. She goes through paper folders. She goes onto online systems, Excel spreadsheets, and talks to any colleagues who might have interacted with Ilana in the past years. Slowly, a picture starts to emerge. The failed eye test, the successful phonics program 3 years ago, the tutoring referral that got lost into the shuffle, the panic attack, the caseworker, the art award, the forced housing move, and slowly, that picture continues to build. So a week later, the principal and the teacher sit down, and they have a sobering conclusion. Over the past 5 years, there were many missed opportunities that weren't a result of a lack of hard work. They weren't a result of a lack of caring. They were a result of the missed opportunities to share information, to coordinate what we do, and to pick interventions that were right for Ilana sooner rather than later. After seeing this waiting to fail story play out in schools in countless cities and in my own personal life, our driving questions became, how do we use technology to identify struggling students and respond to their needs in a more coordinated, timely, and personalized way? Second, how do we know if what we're doing is working? Each school system undertakes all these well-meaning interventions. They're expensive, too. And we rarely think to ourselves, in real time, are they working? And third, how do we use technology in a responsible way that values privacy, family involvement, and individuality, not as a vehicle to prejudge students or place them on predetermined tracks? For us in Somerville, it's the right time to ask and to answer these questions. Somerville Public Schools serves a diverse student population, over 45 languages spoken. 3 out of our 4 students are classified as high needs, low-income English language learners, or students with disabilities. Our superintendent and mayor are passionately pursuing the seamless coordination of all our city systems so all our children thrive within a web of supports that values the whole child, not just a series of numbers. Our work with our Code for America Fellows has given us a chance to begin tackling these driving questions.
We arrived in the city of Somerville in February, and we actually have a picture of what that looks like. This is us with our city partners in Somerville. And our city partners, during that month, they did a lot of things. They brought us boots and some other items that we didn't bring from the West Coast. And they also brought us big ideas, those big ideas that Ori was talking about and telling you about. And so that left us in a place to ask, how do you start implementing a big vision? What's the first step that you take? We decided that we wanted to start with teachers, the people who work with students every day to understand their struggles and help them learn. This is the 5th grade teacher team at the Healy School in East Somerville, one of the top teacher teams in the entire district. This teacher team achieves amazing results for their students. Well, how do they do it? They try to understand each student's story and craft lessons that meet their needs, craft interventions that meet their needs. In other words, they have to have data, information about their students, where they're at, and what kind of help they need. We have a picture of what that data looks like right now. This is a binder that we found at the Healy School, and teachers and this teacher team spend a huge amount of time keeping this binder up to date, taking out old files, putting in new files, making sure that they have an adequate record of their students. So this is why the binder is so full and why it takes so much time, because there's so many different pieces of paper, so many different systems and databases involved. If you want to understand a student's attendance history, well, you would go to the student information system, then print out their attendance history and add it to the binder. If you want to understand that same student's assessment history, you would go to one of several assessment websites, look up that student, print out some information, put it in the binder. And then some of the most important information of all, which students are getting which interventions when, isn't being tracked at all in a centralized way. This is our designer, Amir, and Amir is sitting down with the teachers to sketch out on paper what a better solution would be like, to draw physically what they think a better system would look like. We took that feedback and created a preliminary version on the web that we brought to the beginning of summer school so that teachers could see what their incoming classes of students from all over the city would look like and where they needed help. This is our data scientist, Mari Maraki, who loves data, and here she is with a different Healy team, and they're looking at the first version of the tool. We're watching them to see what is really intuitive and works well for them, and then what are the challenges? What are the things that we need to fix and make better? We were able to make some of those fixes in time for the beginning of the next school year. We're calling our product Student Insights. Student Insights helps educators to see at-risk students and match them to the help that they need. It has 3 main features that answer 3 different questions. First is a student profile view. We learned the need for this view talking to the teachers who told us that they have to understand, that's second. This is the roster view. So the roster helps answer the question that the teacher has of who is in my class and who needs help. So as you can see, an educator can sort through the view to see different risk levels in different subjects, like math or reading, so they can identify which students need extra support in which areas. That brings us to the second view. We learned from teachers that the support that they want to give doesn't happen in a vacuum. They have to understand the student's full history, understand what has been tried before and was really effective, like in Ilana's story, or what has been tried that didn't work. So the profile is the next step from the roster to the profile. They then drill in on the students who need the most help. Third, we created an intervention view. So the point of this view is to be used at student support team meetings, when principals and educators sit down together and discuss what they're going to do to help a student. Interventions, basically anything that can be done in response to a problem. So it might be an attendance contract if attendance is an issue, or a behavior plan, or maybe a weekly call home, or a math tutor, depending on the student and their needs. So what did we do this year in the end? Well, one way we could think about it is technically. Well, technically, we brought data in from different sources, combined them into a single database, and set up nightly data flows so that the data would be timely, unlike the paper forms. Then we built a front end so that educators could interact with the data. But the bigger picture is not about the technical part, but about the way that software embeds values. This is something you've heard several times this morning, and I want to talk for a second about what it meant for us and our team. You're going to hear a lot, and you've heard a lot about the phrases agile development and user-centered design. Well, for us, as you've seen, that meant working in schools with teachers, with district administrators, working together to craft a product. We found that doing things that way naturally led to software that embeds the values of Somerville. Maybe you are someone who works in a public safety agency, or a health and human services agency, or an economic development agency. Think about the software that you use every day in your work and whether it reflects your own values. For us, we didn't know where our prototype was going to lead us over the course of the year. We weren't sure what the project would end up looking like in the end. But because we were working closely, day by day, week by week, with Somerville educators and school leaders, we found that in the end, it started to look like the values that they have as a school system, especially the way that they work tirelessly to match every single student with the extra interventions and support that they need.
Our work is just beginning. As Alex mentioned, 6 months in, summer school teachers used the tool. 7 months in, a whole school faculty used it before the first day of school to get to know their students. And next week, the student support team will meet to look at an 8-year-old boy to see what he's struggling with and what we can do to respond to him in a timely way. And by the end of next year, we'll be rolling it out into more schools. So now our question really turns to sustainability. That's now really in the forefront. How do we make sure this project doesn't join the graveyard of well-meaning, cool projects that lose steam after the initial round of funding or a key individual leaves and moves on to another position? Our sustainability plan includes hiring coders to overlap with our existing coders, securing multiple sources of funding so we can build and add additional modules, such as an analytics module, an equity dashboard, and making the tool flexible enough that other districts can now use that tool. Perhaps we can change the narrative for Ilana's younger brother. If we can empower our educators and families to share information, deeply understand their struggling students, and intervene in a coordinated and timely way, if we can give our educators a sustainable and affordable tool to discover what interventions truly work, the Ilanas of the future stand a stronger chance of overcoming obstacles and reaching their full potential as citizens, scholars, and innovators.
Thank you so much, not just to our city partners and our school partners, but also to Code for Boston and Code for San Francisco for everything you contributed this year. Not only ideas and positive energy, but the code that you contributed to our project made a huge difference. So thank you so much.